Hi, welcome to Footlights.com. I'm John McGivern. You're on our front page. Thanks a lot for clicking in. September 2nd, I opened a show at the Market Center of the Performing Arts. It's a show called The Wonder Bread Years. I brought it back from last year. The writer of that show is a man named Pat Hazel. You may know him as one of the writers from Seinfeld. You may know him from The Tonight Show, from any of the late-night comedy specials on cable. It's Pat Hazel. He's here to talk to us today on Footlights.com. Hi, it's John McGivern from Footlights.com, here with Pat Hazel.
Hi.
How are you? Shake my
well,
hand.
thank you. Oh, I know you.
You do know me. Welcome to Milwaukee.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And how would people know you?
From working with John McGivern at the Market Center, I think.
And it's going well, isn't it?
It is going well.
Let's talk about the Wonder Bread Years.
All right.
It's a show you wrote for yourself.
I did many years ago. A salute to baby boomer Americana. And all things reflective and nostalgic. I find there's a lot of positive and hopeful things, but it's a hybrid of stand-up comedy and just recollections, kind of taking people back on a journey to see their childhood, their sense of wonder, their sense of discovery, curiosity, adventure, and abandon.
You've been doing it all over the country.
I have over years, but it's waned a little bit because of I have kids that are growing, and I don't want to miss their Wonder Bread years. So I've gone into the situation where I've found the best comic actor in a town and the best situation where the audience could hear the story and have the laughs. And it's in some ways delighted me to have this sort of swelling of people that want to see clean comedy in a way.
And it is. Let's tell the people sitting at home how we connected.
All right. Well, I was traveling, and John's brother Jim McGivern saw me at a corporate event, and he said to me, "You have to see my brother. He's hilarious. He's the funniest man alive." Yeah. And then the next year, I was at a corporate event, and he was there, and he said, "Hey, have you called John?" I go, "I don't know John." He goes, "You got to see John. He's hilarious. He's the funniest. You know, he's the king of Milwaukee.
Oh yeah.
He's a civic treasure." He went on, and I hear that a lot about a lot of people's funny uncles and brothers and all sorts of things, but. I think it was like 3 or 4 years after he kept telling me that I was at a wedding, and he said, "You send me the script for Wonder Bread. I'm going to send it to John. We're going to make this thing all happen." And really, I think he gets credit for the connection.
He does. He does. He sent it to me along with another script, a show that you have called The Bunk Bed Brothers.
Right.
And The Bunk Bed Brothers has 2 other characters, and I thought, I really like to work alone. So I said, this is the one I want to do. And it so touched me where it sensibility-wise, and heart-wise and memory-wise, it was perfect for the kind of stuff that I do. And a lot of people know me from my own one-man show, so the fact that I'm doing yours, people are like, "Are you sure you didn't write this?"
Right. Well, I think what's really amazing for people to know is that, you know, I grew up with a big family. I grew up Catholic. I grew up in the Midwest. And all of the things that you've done in parallel in the world, you know, there's a match there. And I also wrote away from my own personal experience and tried to create universal themes. So consequently, for an actor to step in and talk about what it's like to trick or treat, or what it's like to sit at the kids' table, or how it is to be on Christmas morning at daybreak, those are universal. And in a strange way, to reveal one of the secrets behind the crafting is that I knew when I traveled, I didn't want to get so specific that the audience goes, "I've never heard of that. What is that little, you know, recipe or that jingle?" So I specifically started subtracting out the location, my age, things that I thought, well, I want people to feel like I grew up in their neighborhood, and that sort of thing. And so, I mean, I think what John does here is he embraces it in a way where we customized it to some Milwaukee terms, locations. In interviewing an actor, I generally find out the names of their friends and the teacher they didn't like and the bully they were afraid of. And I think just integrating that small percentage of customization, they completely forget about me as a writer or a director, and they always say to the performer, "What do you need that guy for?" You know, you're telling. In fact, they're often fooled by some of the pictures. You know, all of us share pictures of growing up and slideshows and stuff. But almost always the newspapers say, well, the smartest thing they did was put the actors' family photos in. And some of those are still me.
Sure.
But I think we found the best of all worlds by melding everyone's memories into like one glorious brick of gold, you know?
It's funny because I look at my one-man shows, I have 3 of them, and I think, I can't imagine anyone else doing my stuff. Right. Like, what was it like the first time that somebody else took your words and turned it into theirs. Was it odd?
It wasn't odd seeing it once we'd gone through direction. The oddest part was reading people and watching their interpretation.
That's so not me.
Well, it's just like I go, is this really not funny? Like I would watch people read it and I go, why do they think this guy is a brooding, pugilist or whatever? Like they just choose to read it in some way that's like, I'm gonna find the angst in it. I was like, it's not angry. It's just light and so forth. So, and that actually was the fact that I read LA actors who didn't come from the stage and didn't memorize the material and weren't storytellers. They were much more commercial actors who want to be in a sitcom. And I didn't really find a good score in LA. And when I came to the Midwest, when I read in Chicago, when I read in Minneapolis, in Milwaukee, it was like, oh, these people get it. This is not a mysterious place when you talk about Dairy Queen or the way back of the Country Squire wagon. This is a language that they know. And particularly in working with you on this piece, we understood that you have connections here, driving to Illinois for oleo, or custard versus ice cream, those kinds of things that I discovered. I've moved a few times in my life, and when I went to New Orleans, boy, they had a subculture all their own. And they, they don't really think the rest of the world exists. So in some ways, when you can focus it in on an area and have people go, this is our voice, then I think it really helps the word of mouth. It always helps the energy too. The audience, when you're singing a Blatz beer song, that's not done anywhere else in the country.
Right.
But it hits the same humor note, which is that there's a certain amount of warmth when you have this sense of community. Finding common denominators in an audience I don't think is tremendously difficult, but having them feel it on a deeper level than a joke is kind of an art, because you don't want to become preachy and you don't want to be uptight about what you do. But I think when I watched last night, the audience comes out at intermission and there's this big bond, like, I did that. Did you do that? Did you ever have 1, 2, 3 Jello? They're talking about stuff that's not in the show, and that means you're reaching them on another level. Theatrically, this particular show is not a plot-driven play. It's a thesis on wonder. It's illustrated through stand-up and through stories. But when they leave the theater, there's enough pathos at the end where they feel positive, and you know what? I should reflect on life through my kids' eyes. I should remember to live in the moment. And it's just enough that I think it resonates a little bit, and we get a lot of people writing or quoting after the fact. They'll send an email saying, oh, I was making those same jokes the other day. Oh, when I picked up the fly swatter, I could only think about you guys now. Right. So, I mean, that's a reward in some ways, that it has residual value after the production.
And you hear about it. I hear about it all the time. I hear people who do it. And I've gotten emails saying that we left that theater and we sat at a restaurant and talked about our childhood, and thank you for allowing us this experience.
Right.
And in the end, I mean, I'm sure you didn't write this thinking this is what I'm out to do. I'm hoping that people will. I mean, the reward that comes with something that you have no idea is coming is the best.
But what's interesting is that I had started writing as sort of in the advent of eBay coming alive, right? And I started just going, oh, I had that when I was a kid, and the feeling of seeing the specific toy and then reading about it and doing whatever was kind of regenerated the joy as a kid when you would get it on Christmas morning. And now you're grown up and you have your own money, you're like, I don't care, I'll overpay for Rock'em Sock'em Robots because I want them,
It's mine.
Right. So, but everybody has a different thing that they would, look up on eBay if they wanted to. But for me, I was looking for dangerous toys. I was looking for lawn jarts and clackers and things like that because my parents wouldn't let me have them. But it's like, you can't stop me now. I'll drink Ovaltine and do whatever I want for dinner, So that was really one of the fun
The show is
things.
really great, and I'm so thrilled that I get the chance to do it. And it's running through the 21st of September at the Market Center of the Performing Arts, and then it's running in other areas of the state.
Yeah.
If you keep your eyes out, you'll see me doing it, and you're doing it everywhere as well.
Yeah, but you are the heir apparent. John McGivern, the new boy wonder here in Milwaukee.